You happy now?
Iron Man has always been one of the biggest names in the MCU, and Tony Stark's story pretty much set the foundation for everything Marvel built over the last 15 years. But even though his story wrapped up in Avengers Endgame, fans still can't stop asking what comes next. Could there actually be an Iron Man 4? A lot of people think it's impossible because Tony died. But the truth is, Marvel has been leaning into alternate universes and multiverse variants so heavily that nothing is really off the table anymore. And that's where things get really exciting, because one of the most talked about possibilities is the arrival of Superior Iron Man. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Superior Iron Man isn't the Tony Stark we grew up watching. He's from Marvel Comics' Axis event, where everything got turned upside down. Basically, Red Skull gained control of Onslaught's powers, which put the Avengers and the X-Men in serious danger. It was one of those all-hands-on-deck kind of battles because the heroes knew they were completely outmatched. So, Doctor Doom and Scarlet Witch pulled off this crazy inversion spell meant to shift morality across the board. And it worked, but not in the way anyone expected. Because instead of just flipping villains to good guys, it flipped the heroes too. Suddenly, the characters we always saw as noble and selfless lost their moral compass, and it created a version of Tony Stark that was actually more terrifying than most of the villains he used to fight. This Superior Iron Man was dangerous because he still had Tony's brilliance and tech-savvy mind, but now he had no limits. He created the Endosim armor, which was basically a fusion of his tech with symbiote biology, making him nearly indestructible. On top of that, he developed the Extremis 3.0 app, which let him control ordinary people, even those in power. So instead of inspiring the world like the Tony we know, he literally enslaved it through his technology. What made it even scarier is that he found a way to shield himself from the reversal of the spell. Everyone else slowly shifted back, but Superior Iron Man kept his corrupted mindset, making him a permanent threat. And here's the thing. Fans have been buzzing about this version of Tony for years because it feels like a perfect fit for the MCU's current direction. Marvel keeps playing with the idea of variants, showing us alternate takes on beloved characters, whether it's in Loki, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, or even Spider-Man No Way Home. So if there's ever a time to pull Superior Iron Man out of the comics and onto the screen, it's now. In fact, a bunch of fans were convinced he'd pop up in Multiverse of Madness, maybe even as part of the Illuminati. That didn't happen, which disappointed some people, but honestly, it's probably better that Marvel held back. A quick cameo wouldn't have done him justice. If they're going to use Superior Iron Man, he needs to be a central villain, maybe even the face of Iron Man 4. And yes, that's the fun part. Iron Man 4 doesn't have to take place in the main MCU timeline. It could be set in a different universe entirely, where Superior Iron Man rose to power. Because Marvel has already been testing that formula, What If showed us countless alternate realities. Loki literally cracked open the multiverse, and even Spider-Man No Way Home proved fans love seeing other worlds collide. So it wouldn't be weird at all if Marvel dropped a film centered on an alternate Tony Stark, especially if it ties back into the main storyline down the road. Now, in the comics, Superior Iron Man doesn't stop at being a tyrant. He actually forms his own evil Avengers. It's kind of a twisted mirror of the original team, and it includes people like Sam Wilson's Captain America, Medusa, Clue, the evil Hulk, Thor, and Luke Cage. They weren't just bad, they were ruthless, and the team was basically unstoppable. When they fought the inverted X-Men, who were led by Apocalypse, it wasn't even a close fight. Superior Iron Man and his team crushed them. And that visual, that absolute dominance, shows why this storyline is such a goldmine for Marvel. It's the kind of spectacle that fits perfectly into the MCU's multiverse arc. Think about it. Marvel has a window of opportunity after Avengers Secret Wars and before Avengers Doomsday. Kevin Feige had already hinted that after Secret Wars, the MCU will reset in some ways, with fresh characters and new dynamics. So sliding Iron Man 4 into that gap makes perfect sense. It slows things down before the next Avengers-level event, while giving fans something jaw-dropping in its own right. Plus, it would let Marvel revisit the Iron Man mantle without undermining Tony Stark's sacrifice in Endgame. because this wouldn't be our Tony, it'd be a darker alternate version. And here's where things get even juicier. Rumors have been floating for a while that Tom Cruise could play Superior Iron Man. At first, it sounded like wild fan casting, but when you really look at it, it fits almost too perfectly. Cruise almost played Tony Stark back in the 90s when Fox owned the rights, but the deal fell through. Now, decades later, the idea of him finally stepping into the role, not as the hero everyone knows, but as an arrogant, villainous version, feels like a once-in-a-lifetime payoff. It would also give Superior Iron Man instant star power, making him a big enough presence to carry Iron Man 4 as the central focus. But what about Tony's legacy in the main MCU? That's where Harley Keener comes in. Remember the kid from Iron Man 3 who helped Tony in the garage? He showed up at Tony's funeral in Endgame, and fans have always wondered if Marvel had bigger plans for him. With actor Ty Simpkins now old enough to take on a larger role, he could step into the spotlight. Imagine Iron Man 4 showing Harley trying to honor Tony's legacy, only to be confronted with this terrifying alternate version of his mentor. The emotional weight of that would be huge. Seeing a face that looks like Tony's, but twisted into something cruel and manipulative, would push Harley to find his own identity as a hero. That's the kind of storytelling that makes audiences invest. And it wouldn't just stop with Harley. Marvel has been slowly setting up the Young Avengers, bringing in characters like Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, America Chavez, and Kamala Khan. Adding Harley, or even making him Iron Lad, would be a natural next step. In the comics, Iron Lad is actually tied to Kang, but since Marvel seems to be moving away from Kang with Avengers Doomsday, they could easily reimagine Harley as their version of Iron Lad. It's a way to keep the essence of the character while making it work for the MCU's future. Now let's not forget Jon Favreau. The guy who started the entire MCU with Iron Man back in 2008 has been rumored to return for Iron Man 4. If that actually happens, it would be the ultimate full-circle moment. Favreau directing a story that bridges Tony's past with a new generation of heroes while also introducing a terrifying variant? That's the kind of move that gets fans hyped. It would also give Marvel a chance to tie up some loose ends from earlier phases. Harley's role in Iron Man 3 always felt too significant to be left hanging, and his cameo in Endgame proved Marvel hadn't forgotten about him. So now might be the perfect time to finally deliver on that setup. So here's the big picture. Iron Man 4 doesn't have to be a simple continuation. It can be something bigger, bolder, and more emotionally charged. By using Superior Iron Man from a different universe, Marvel gets to revisit the Iron Man mantle without undoing Tony Stark's sacrifice. By introducing Harley as a rising hero, they pass the torch to the next generation. And by hinting at a clash between the original Avengers legacy and this twisted evil version, they set the stage for a story that's both personal and epic. And honestly, it just fits the moment. Marvel has been looking for ways to freshen up its formula while still honoring its roots. Superior Iron Man offers exactly that. He's familiar yet shocking, heroic yet villainous, and his story opens the door to new teams, new conflicts, and a bunch of jaw-dropping visuals. Pair that with the possibility of Tom Cruise in the role, Jon Favreau returning as director, and Harley Keener stepping up, and suddenly Iron Man 4 doesn't just feel possible, it feels inevitable. So when you put it all together, the idea of Iron Man 4 as a multiversal story with Superior Iron Man at its core isn't just fan service, it's smart storytelling. It gives Marvel a way to bridge the old and the new, to explore what happens when legacies are corrupted, and to give fans a fresh yet nostalgic ride. And honestly, that's exactly what the MCU needs right now. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.